Good evening and welcome to the November 18th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Before we get started, anyone with a cell phone or electronic device, if you could please silence those, we'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're here to speak on any of the applications, we encourage you to do so. We just ask that you go to the podium and give us your name for the recording secretary, and please have your say. Okay, first up tonight is minutes. Vote minutes of October 14th, 2015.
Mr. Chairman, I have read the minutes and I have a few small corrections to propose. They're substantive, but they're not particularly controversial. So I would, with the exception of that, I would vote to approve them. Move to approve them.
Second.
Motion is second. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Okay, so we'll just pass it into Susan when we get a chance. Okay, November 4th, 2015.
Thank you.
Betsy?
Will you hand those to me? Well, they were here when I got here, and so I read them,
Okay.
and I find them substantially correct.
Are you going to make a motion?
So I'll move to accept the minutes of November 4th.
Second.
So we have Betsy and Mike. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. Okay, request for determination of applicability. And this is the lesser of the two applications. If anyone's here for a RDA, what you want to hear is a negative determination. Means you can go ahead with your project. And first up is Peyton Place Family Irrevocable Trust, care of Carolyn Murphy, trustee. 20 Peyton Place, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove the existing lower deck and continue stairs to existing grade, install and maintain native mitigation plantings for remaining unpermitted upper deck, to plant a 35-foot wide buffer in the front lawn area with native mitigation plantings to remove a dead fallen tree limb and prune branches over the house. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff is recommending a negative 2 under the statement bylaw with the resource area boundaries left.
So move.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. I got Mike and Betsy. Comments or questions from the commission? Comments or questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is John Christian, 42 John Parker Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a house addition, upgrade with a new septic system, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a negative 4.
So moved. Second.
Okay,
I always throw Mike. Mike, it's outside of jurisdiction.
And why is it here?
You can ask the applicant's representative if you'd like.
No.
Okay.
They explained in the thing that you
Yeah.
just got.
It's just barely outside.
They were, yes.
Fair
You
enough.
can read it later on.
okay. I got a motion by Maureen. I think Courtney was the second, right?
So I got a question.
Okay, so I got hang on a second. I know, I'll go to him in a second. We get first shot at it here. Any questions or comments from the commission? Mike, you all set?
Yep, wants to say something.
I just wanted to say, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, we applied because we were close but not in, and we didn't want to get a surprise at the time we applied for the building permit and then have to go, so we wanted to be safe instead of sorry.
I applaud your being proactive.
Any other comments or questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Timothy Egan, 133 Quaker Road, West Falmouth, Mass, for permission to replace the existing wood deck with a 10-foot by 22-foot footprint. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a negative 2 under the bylaw, negative 3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
So I got Courtney, and I think that was Mary that time. Questions or comments from the board? You good with that, Susan? Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Was it Jamie? We'll get you on one, Jamie. Sorry about that.
Never did call.
I'm not gonna be there. Are you kidding me?
Okay, request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Okay, first up is the Woods Hole Steamship Authority, care of William Cloutier, 29 Lobscombe Ave, 33 and 36 Railroad Ave, and Railroad Ave, map 51A-01-044A-000, 51A-01-044B-000, 12 Cowdery Road, map 51A-01-043-004, Juniper Point Road, map 51A-01-042-00A, map 51A-0-043-005, Woods Hole, Mass. For permission to demolish the existing ferry terminal in a phased approach that includes removal of the existing terminal/administration building and the excavation of the existing wharf, reconstruction and repositioning of all 3 ferry slips, including a new monopole dolphin for each slip, pile supported piers between slips with walkways, reconstruct vessel sewage pump-out facilities for all 3 ferry slips, construction of a new ferry terminal building, reconstruction of a equipment storage building, removal of waste oil storage building to be replaced with a double-wall portable storage tank, removal of an ancillary buildings to be reconstructed in locations for better traffic flow operations, site utility improvements, relocation extension of the Shining Sea bike path, and reduction in the number of parking spaces at the terminal, reconstruction of paved parking, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Mr. Chairman.
Betsy is recusing, and Mike is recusing.
May I ask Jen a question? Do we have the file here? Otherwise, I will just take a couple notes for the file.
It is, oh, it's in the cart.
Should be in
Okay.
there. Yeah, it's in there. Just take the notes, Mary will put them in.
Okay,
Thank you.
No problem.
all right.
Thank you.
Jen?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to save any comments or questions until after the presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Bill Cooley. I'm with the Steamship Authority. I'd like to introduce the team that is involved in this project. We have Berto Iworks as our architects, represented by Chris Iworks. Childs Engineering is the marine engineers, and I'm represented by Dave Porter. And GCA is doing the landside civil work and the permitting. And there's Steve Lecco and Nate Russell from GCA. Just a little history is probably important, just to bring you up to speed on how we got here. Back in May 2013, we started on a feasibility study to determine how we were going to reconstruct this terminal, because it's pretty much at its end of its life. We hired a design team led by Berto Iworks, who was coordinating all the design and the feasibility study. At the time, our objective was to come up with the feasibility study was to come up with 3 concepts and choose the best one. Well, we got involved with the public and the Woods Hole Working Group and the Woods Hole Community Association. And about 20 cases later, we finally came up with a preferred alternative. Now, this preferred alternative is really, it's,
Can I interrupt you a second?
Sure.
Can everybody see this? The lighting's okay? It's not, okay,
Room more lights on.
good.
so this is the preferred alternative, and it's a compromise between, the community groups and our operational requirements. But it seems to be working best for everybody. What I'd like to do in this, in my speech here is just give you some general layout and design information, and then as I'll coordinate questions later with my technical staff here to have a lot more details than I could probably give you off the cuff. So the preferred alternative or preferred design has us moving, has 3 slips, 3 operational slips. The terminal is located back here. The bus pickup and drop off is behind the terminal, and staging is even further back. And we are considering a solar panel concept. We're trying, the architects think we can get a net zero energy terminal if we include solar panels. That's still under consideration. We're not doing anything in this main parking area, this employee parking area, but this, if you're familiar with the site, there's a freight shed in this area. That's going to become just a much smaller equipment storage area with diesel generator, emergency power, and the waste oil is going to go in this area. There's some truck staging in this area, and the vehicle staging is back here. We have access to the 3rd slip from the north and also from the south. We can have access to the other 2 slips. I'll just move to the next slide. That's one too many. A little hard to see. So in this image, you can see how the slips are imposed on the existing conditions. The 3rd slip, the 3rd slip that we have now is in this location. So everything is moving south. It's going to open up traffic, open up the waterways for the North Shore Trust and the MUI to the north. So we will be excavating a portion of the wharf, the filled wharf that we have now. We will be doing and then the other 2 slips are kind of fit right in this area. There's a bulkhead area coming across. So, and we will be filling portions of the existing slips with a filling operation in here. Also, there's a little bit of filling going up there. I can show you more detail on other slides. On the land side, as I said, the terminal is in this location. There's a plaza area, and the buses will come in and pick up and drop off and exit out Railroad Avenue. This slide is kind of hard to see, but I'll try to highlight the site conditions and the flood zones. The National Heritage Habitat line is right here, so we're outside of that area. There is eelgrass, mapped eelgrass to the south. In this area is mapped eelgrass to the north, near the Nassau Trust Wharf. The BE zone is BE 15, and that's this dotted line that goes along the pier, the wharf, and down along to the south. The rest of the site, pretty much the rest of the site is at an AE 13 elevation. The existing site elevation is between 5 and 6. So we have some challenges with the flood zone. Move on. The pipe, so this slide, I can show you, the bike path would end right here at Railroad Avenue currently. We're proposing to extend it all the way to the park area with additional bike parking. So this whole area in this area will be a public park and a bike path. So one of the big problems that people are having is in the town is that people come out of the bike path and they head up Luscombe Avenue in the wrong direction. This is an attempt to preclude that. All right, let me get into a little more of the waterside details. So, as I said, we're planning on doing an excavation here. There's 22,000 square feet of area that we're going to excavate. The filling area in these three, a little bit just north, just to fill in that new bulkhead. The bulkhead line is running down straight horizontal, north to south. The fill areas are this area, and this area of the existing slips. That accounts for about 11,000 square feet. And so the net would be, is 11,500 of land under the ocean that we're creating. The dredged areas, there's a small portion in the existing slip 3 that needs to be dredged. There's an area here, and there's an area to the south. We're staying out of the eelgrass line. This area amounts to about 11,000, the total area of dredged area is about 11,500 square feet, but the volume is only about 1,500 cubic yards. So we're not taking a lot of material, actually. And this area, we believe, in slip 3, we believe it's coming from the catch basins and the stormwater outlets that are running along that bulkhead. Because there's boats in there all the time. We couldn't figure out why all that was needed to be dredged, but that was our conclusion. The back. So our piers, the piers are going to be supported. There's 2 piers between slips 3 and 2, and then one between on the other side of slip 2 and slip 1. The piers, there's a fixed portion to the pier with a canopy, and that's supported on 16-inch piles and pile caps, and then there's a floating portion as well for both piers. The reason for that being is for handicap accessibility. We have 9 different boats that come in and out of these slips, and they have different door heights and everything else. Accessibility was a struggle to get the design right, and this seems to work best, the combination of a fixed pier and a floating pier. Okay, so this is just another view here that shows you, this is the fixed pier. There's 2 ramps going down to a floating pier in between the 2 slips. The monopile dolphins, there are 39 total monopile dolphins, 8 foot in diameter, that we're planning to use as approach dolphins and head dolphins. They're 8 foot in diameter. They would have a fender frame and rubbers to absorb the energy of the boats. One of the challenges in doing this construction is that it is felt that we need 2 operational slips throughout the construction period of this project to continue operation. So if a boat breaks down, we need a place to put it and still have another slip available to continue our operations. So that was one of the reasons that motivated us to get 3 operational slips. We have to get 1 slip operational. The current slip 3, which is here right at the corner of Luscombe Avenue and Whale Avenue, is not really an operational slip. We can't load vehicles on that slip as it is now. So that was the reason for moving it south. And we're proposing to build an operational slip 3 and before we start reconstructing the other 2 slips. And that would be more apparent when I discuss the phasing. So the monopile, there would be, this is the monopile fenders. They're going down, I don't know, we haven't finalized the exact depth, but they're probably going down 100 to about minus 100. And they, 8 foot in diameter. There's a fender frame that's going to, for the most part, it's going to be about 19 feet high. And you have these cone fenders, rubber fenders that absorb the energy as the boat hits it. The transfer bridges are all, these 3 transfer bridges are going to be 50-foot transfer bridges. The existing ones are 30 feet. This is more in line with all our other terminals. It's better for the trucks, and it's also better for handicap accessibility. This would be our standard design. We have at every other terminal in our system. It's just a gantry supported with counterweights. Okay. Okay, getting to the grading, the land side work. Trying to find. Back. Sorry. So the bulkhead, let's talk about some of the landside details. The bulkhead is going to be at elevation, for the most part, at elevation 9. And it's going to the grading is going to go up to the plaza, which is at its peak elevation would be 10.5. So keep in mind that we're most of the site is between elevation 5.5 and 6 at the moment. So we're proposing to do quite a bit of filling. A lot of that has to do with, trying to reach the base flood elevation in our terminal design. Some of it, from the backside of the plaza, it's going to be elevation 10, and we have to go back down to elevation about 7 to match the Crane Street Bridge, which we clearly can't change the elevation of that. The terminal is this terminal is a 2-story building. It's on a 6,000 square foot footprint. We're trying to get it up to a base flood elevation of about 13. We're trying to get it to that elevation. One of the challenges we're having with all of this is accessibility. Railroad Avenue and Luscombe Avenue are still at 5-6, and so we have to have an accessible route for our pedestrians there, and that's a challenge at elevation 10.5. And all these routes to the piers have to be accessible as well. The stormwater, I'm going to probably have Nate give you a much more detailed discussion on the stormwater management. We are improved. Right now there's no stormwater management whatsoever. Everything is flowing straight out of the, straight into the catch basins and out into the ocean. One of the interesting things we discovered as we got into this project is that some of the town's catch basins are interconnected with our catch basins, and they go out through our bulkhead. But we've done some test pits. The site is limited. We have water levels up to 3 feet, so 3 feet below grade, and so there's not too much we can do, but we are putting in storm scepters and being able to meet a lot of the state standards as a redevelopment project. I think overall we'll have we're certainly going to have a much better situation with stormwater than we currently have. We're doing the best we can. It's a limited site, limited possibilities on the site. Utilities, sewage. The site, is all on, town sewage. The terminal will be on town sewage. Currently, we have a sewer pump out system for our boats. We've been working with the town and looking at possibly connecting that line into their force main, which runs right across our property here. They have a sewage right away for the force main right to the northwest right up Railroad Avenue, because of the flow rates that we pump when we pump out. It's taxing the gravity system that goes down Luscombe, down Water Street to a pumping station and comes back this way. So we're working with town DPW and looking at possibilities to connect that sewer pump out line directly into the force main. All the other potable water services, electricity, and gas would be the other utilities that we'll be changing or on the site. All right, let's move into the phasing. It's a 6-year project. So in the first phase would be we're hoping we'd start in the fall of 2017. and we would be putting a temporary terminal in this location. Excuse me? 2016, I'm sorry, 2016. We'll be putting a temporary terminal in this area of the site, connecting sewer and water. And off-site, we would be building new general offices at our Palmer Avenue parking lot. The fall of 2017 is a tough challenge. We would be demolishing the existing terminal building, excavating the wharf area, and beginning construction on our proposed slip 3, installing this bulkhead at some point and grading out that portion of the site to where it will finally be. The catch basins, and I'm going to let Nate discuss how the stormwater is going to be managed from phase to phase, but that's all taken into account here. The next phase would be completing this slip 3 so that we can start work on the existing slip 1 or the proposed slip 2. We'd also complete the build out of this pedestrian pier in between the two slips, and do some additional stormwater connections. Following year would be 2018. We'd be building out this pier between slips 2 and slip 1. We would be doing most of the dredging. There's some dredging in this area, and the dredging that I showed you earlier in this area would be done in that year. Again, the grading would be just along the site, just along the pier, the bulkhead, down to the existing conditions, because in the summers we would still continue operating our buses and stuff on at grade further, further to the west. Okay, the next phase would be grading out everything to the plaza elevation and building out the permanent terminal. Okay, so this would bring you up to about 10.5, and then we would build a terminal. And the last phase, we would be grading out, the bus pickup, drop off, going back down to about elevation 7, connecting all our stormwater management systems, constructing this equipment building, and that would be the end of the project. So this is just a general overview. At this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions, and then I will coordinate that with my team here to get your answers.
Jen?
Mr. Chairman, Bill, can we hear Nate's presentation on
Absolutely.
stormwater?
Yep.
Evening, Nate Russell with GZA. This is the stormwater design posting authority. The intent of the stormwater design was basically to meet both the town of Falmouth regulations and also the state of Massachusetts stormwater handbook, the DEP's guidelines for stormwater management. As a redevelopment project, we are required to meet all of the standards, Massachusetts standards, to the maximum extent practicable, which, given the site constraints here, is for us it's a good thing. And we are able to meet the majority of the standards fully. However, one standard, the water quality treatment, TSS removal. Based on site constraints, we are not able to meet the 80% TSS removal rate. We're showing a 74% TSS removal, which we feel, like I said, given the current state of affairs, which is basically 0% TSS removal, pretty significant increase in treatment for the site. And we are also would note that we'll be treating water from off-site areas, town streets, as well as a portion of the properties on the corner of Luscombe and Railroad Avenue that currently drains to our site as well. The system itself is a fairly standard style of catch basin and pipe stormwater management, where the stormwater is directed to catch basins. These will be deep sump catch basins providing TSS pretreatment, connecting into various size RCP piping, which will ultimately discharge through the bulkhead to the ocean as is done today. The existing system on the site has, I believe it's 9 outfalls. We'll be reducing that number to 3. And at each outfall, we're proposing to use a hydrodynamic separator for Technics unit or storm scepter unit to provide enhanced water quality treatment. That's consistent with the Massachusetts regulations and similar to many other systems used in the town of Falmouth today for water quality treatment. In the initial phases of design, working with the Steamship Authority, we looked at opportunities for enhanced treatment, detention, and infiltration on the site. As part of that, we excavated a series of 5 test pits in the existing car queuing area, which is in this area. Based on the results of those test pits, we found that one, mean level high water is quite high on the site. It's evidence about elevation 3, or only a couple of feet below existing grade, and normal water elevation is only about elevation 1, so only about 4 feet below grade. So the opportunity for infiltration on the back of the site is quite limited, as we do have to meet, Bill was saying, the tying elevation at the Crane Street overpass with our ultimate grading plan. To the front of the site, you may have seen it in some of the previous slides, there's a pretty significant system of tiebacks to support the proposed bulkhead system. There's also needs to be utilities for servicing the boats, servicing the building. So infiltration to the front of the site is also limited in the sense that we wouldn't be able to fit infiltration in there, nor would we ever be able to get to the system to maintain it should there be an issue. There's just too many conflicting uses on the site to do something like that. So based on that, we were unable to design an infiltration system for the site. So moving to hydrodynamic separators provided the next best option for providing a high level of treatment in a reasonable footprint. And that was what was selected for the site. In discussions with the town, one of the other concerns they had was the potential for spills on the site, be it either from a vehicle leaking or during the fueling operations, oils or fuel reaching the ocean through the stormwater system. We agreed that we would install a series of check valves on the stormwater system. So at each outfall, at the very end of each outfall, there will be a valve system, likely a slide gate or similar, that we can shut in the event that a spill is witnessed to prevent the discharge of impacted stormwater from the site to the ocean. We're also proposing to install an additional valve downstream or down gradient of the catch basin closest to where we anticipate trucks will park to pump fuel to the boats. So that we think is the most likely location for a significant spill, and therefore we're going to grade it, have a sump, and also isolate that catch basin, so if there was a spill, we could shut it off and prevent impacts to the larger system. The phasing of the system so in the first phase, we're really not impacting the stormwater system. The work we're proposing will be adjacent to, but really not change the character of the existing system. It's the temporary terminal. As we move forward with the first phase of construction on the water side, we're going to interrupt several existing outfalls, including the outfall that currently services the catch basins on Railroad Avenue and Luscombe Avenue. So what we'll be doing is reconstructing those catch basins, taking the existing ones out of service, replacing them, replacing their piping, installing deep sump offline catch basins, and connecting that all to a new outfall with our hydrodynamic separator and our valving system. We'll be constructing a second outfall. It'll be part of the future build-out, installing the hydrodynamic separator there as well, and connecting the existing on-site drainage to that system for a portion of it. There's, as I said, there are numerous outfalls on the site. As soon as we can, we're taking those outfalls offline and connecting that water to our new system. So even though we aren't replacing all of the piping and catch basins on the back of the site, we will be providing enhanced treatment through the storm scepter, or through the hydrodynamic separator. Next phase. Similarly, we're constructing more of our system on near the bulkhead. We're maintaining our tie-in of the existing system to the proposed system. At this point, we haven't taken any additional areas offline, so we aren't having any additional temporary tie-ins. The next phase, there's a line that's hard to see on this plan, and I apologize, but this storm line, which currently drains out to the bulkhead, existing bulkhead, we'll be tying into right here and bringing it across to our new system. Once again, providing enhanced treatment to that area in the interim condition. Similarly, there's a series of catch basins in this area, as well as from the employee parking area. We'll be tying in temporarily and bringing that water to our new outfall as well. So by this phase, by phase 4, there will be no untreated discharge from the site. So even though we haven't fully replaced the entire system, we haven't rebuilt the system in the car queuing area, the entrance from Crane Street, or the employee parking area, by phase 4, all of the stormwater discharging from the site will be treated. And then in phase 5, with the terminal building construction, similarly, we'll be reconfiguring our temporary tie-in because we're expanding the footprint of the proposed work, but we'll still be maintaining that treatment capacity. And then the final phase, the backside of the car queuing area gets reconstructed, all the catch basins get demolished, new catch basins go in offline deep sump, providing enhanced pre-treatment, and we also replace the piping associated. There's 2 existing catch basins on the Shining Sea Bikeway. We'll be connecting those into our system as well. So in phase 6, the entire site has been completely finished. The stormwater system is completely online, and the entire system is providing full treatment to the best capacity that we can provide, given the footprint and the constraints of the site. The calculations we've done show that the site meets the discharge criteria for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm events. We're actually reducing the on-site impervious coverage. So, and part of that is a function of the fact that we are excavating a large portion of the filled pier. So we're meeting the peak attenuation standards. We're meeting the treatment standards to the fullest extent we can. We are unable to infiltrate because it's a redevelopment project. We aren't required to recharge the groundwater, although in this area, well, it's hard to believe that it would be too beneficial anyway, given that the groundwater elevation is really controlled by the bay on either side. And I would ask for any questions that the board may have.
Jen?
Okay, Nate, I'm going to start with you. Did Mr. Cloutier provide you a copy of the town's? Okay, great. Can you submit to the board, can you address Scott's comments and concerns basically with regards to the grading and drainage plan and confirm where the town made assumptions?
Sure.
Okay,
So-
that would be helpful.
And I think,
In
well,
writing?
yeah, ultimately what we would do is we'd respond to this memorandum with a letter and additional details.
Excellent. I know
to
it came
clarify.
late, so I appreciate it. So, thank you.
Yeah, like I said, I would like to say we definitely appreciate the town's careful and detailed review of our plan.
Yeah, they had, we thought it was a good plan. They just, want this board to have
Sure.
some information that they can reference and some of their assumptions to be confirmed, that's all.
Yep.
Thank you. Bill?
All right, so I'll take any other questions, try to direct you to the right answer.
Okay, Bill, I have a couple of questions for
Go
you.
ahead.
Do you have, you saw a DMS letter, correct? Division of Marine Fisheries?
About, right,
The eelgrass?
the eelgrass and the 70-foot.
Yeah.
What we're proposing is a siltation curtain between that. And I think what we offered is to map the eelgrass before we start dredging and map it right after to discuss, to determine if there's any harm. We don't anticipate having harming that area because we're not, if we have a full silt curtain and we're not taking a lot of material out of that place, we're only going to -16 and it's like 2 feet of material depth-wise. The other thing in the fisheries was, if I recall, was time of year
A
restriction.
time of year is a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to have probably a little bit more, after reading DMS comments, just develop a little bit more in-depth monitoring plan of the eelgrass and what you may potentially do if it's impacted. That's all, just to give this board a comfort level.
Yeah, we can discuss it.
Yeah.
We can send that, we can give you additional information
Yeah.
on that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
As far as phasing goes, can you explain to me a little bit more on how the phasing goes? So, not so much when you're constructing, and I numbered them wrong, so 3, 2, 1. So not so much when you're constructing slip number 3, but when you're constructing 2 and 1, your proposed 2 and 1.
See if I can get this thing to move.
Explain to me how you're going to fill in land under ocean when you extend that bulkhead. I understand what you're doing, I'm just wondering, you're just going to fill it in? Are you going to pump the water? I can't see how you can do that, so explain to me a little bit how you're actually going to construct slip 2 and 1.
I'll let my marine expert
Thank you.
take control of it.
Thank you.
You may remember
This is Dave Porter, by the way.
Yes.
Dave Porter?
Dave Porter.
Oh, that's his name.
Let's see if I can make the,
I'll help you. You want to go back to,
before you describe this,
Ask him to use the microphone.
describe what the darkest line, because they've indicated. Yeah.
Yes, right.
We're gonna go back to the,
Dave, you gotta use the microphone.
we're gonna go back to
You
the
can take it
green
out.
structures
You
part.
can take
You
it
can
right
take it
out
out
of
of
there
the-
if you'd
There
like.
you go.
There you go.
Something to do with dancing in a microphone.
Yeah. Okay,
get there.
there you go. All right. This is as good a place to start as any.
What page is that? Sorry, Dave. I'm trying to find it.
It's 3-1.
3-1 or 3-7? Got it.
Okay. This is going to help us all understand where we are. At the top of the drawing is currently, there's a slip there, but as Bill described, it's not a usable slip. Okay. Then we have the existing wharf structure, and then we have the next 2 slips, 1 and 2, currently referred to as 1 and 2. We've renamed all the slips in this just to make sure everybody's paying attention. The new slips have a different configuration. All right, so we're going to start by building this new bulkhead slightly outshore of the existing bulkhead up top, and then we're going to cut through the existing wharf. Literally cut the wharf in half, more or less, across its middle, so that we'd actually be driving the sheeting through the building, except the building will have been demolished by then. So that's going to create the new permanent bulkhead. So there'll be excavation that goes on inside the existing sheet piling. When the excavation is completed and the new bulkhead is completed,
then we can take the old sheet piling, which creates the current wharf, out of the way. This half may stay for a short period of time, as it may be part of the existing slip one's fendering system. Okay, and then that's phase one. The next phase is when we start filling on the shore side, okay? So we're going to demolish what's left of the old slip one, where the building was, or is today. We're going to then fill behind the bulkhead, install the bulkhead, fill behind the bulkhead to grade, and build at least enough of the new structure that we can continue to operate that as a going slip. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Are you going to attempt to pump some of the water out, or are you just going to fill it?
No, it's going to be filled.
Okay.
And then there are a variety of different techniques. The technique that will probably be selected to enhance the quality of the dumped-in soil will be to use vibro probes. Basically take an H-pile with a vibratory hammer and run that down at a grid of, say, a 5-on-5 grid within this space. And that will then allow the quality of the material we're dumping in to be good enough to act as a permanent sub-base for the roadway and also not overstress the new bulkhead.
Okay. And do you have a dewatering plan for when you're excavating out the existing bulkhead?
That's going to be an excavation. So we're going to,
You're going to have dewatering, yeah.
Yes, we're going to have dewatering.
Do you have a dewatering plan established yet, or I didn't see, did I miss?
I don't think we have it established at this
Okay.
point,
That's, okay.
but we need a dewatering plan for the dredging and
Yeah.
as well as the excavation.
Okay.
Because clearly we're going to be
Yeah, I just would have liked a little bit,
below water level.
yeah, more detail on the phasing, the construction aspect, I guess. Okay. And you'll do the same for the slip one, extend that down.
exactly.
Use your little grid.
Exactly. And then solidify that soil.
Okay, but that technique hasn't been
Well, the
100% determined yet.
the concept, the method of solidifying and enhancing the geotechnical quality of the soil we're going to put in there is a vibratory method.
Okay,
Whether it's an H-pile or an alternative mechanism, that's what it'll be.
okay. And do you have an idea of when, are you waiting for the contractor to kind of go through a construction methodology, a more detailed methodology, or can one be written up
I
and
think we have,
submitted?
one needs to be written up for water quality.
So
permit.
that could be submitted as
It
well?
could be submitted, it certainly will have to be submitted for water quality.
Yeah, it will, okay.
But just for your appreciation, Jen, these lines represent tiebacks.
Yeah.
So there's a tieback system, they're about 4 feet apart, and there's a dead man here.
Yep,
So as we're putting in the sheet pile, you know, we're trying to keep that sheet pile from deflecting, so you're filling at the
Yeah.
same time to keep the sheet pile from deflecting
okay,
and get your tiebacks in.
okay.
Okay,
Watering, well, right now, that's it, Russ. I'll be asking more questions, but not right now.
Courtney?
I'll pass for the time being.
Kristen?
Where to start? The first question I have about the filling up to the Crane Road, the elevation,
on Crane Street.
Yes. I'm wondering why is it going up higher and then coming back down?
It's because of the Crane Street Bridge. You know, we have to keep that clearance between the bridge, so everything. has to go
What
back.
elevation is the bridge?
It's actually, it's underneath the bridge. It's talked about.
Right, so-
The bridge was over his,
Sir, if you're gonna speak, you gotta go to the podium, okay?
The
Thank you.
Crane Street overpass currently provides about, I think it's 13 or 14 feet of clearance between the pavement for the Shining Sea bike path and the bottom of the beams that carry the road. So that elevation is about plus or minus 5.5. We're going to meet that elevation at the tie-in point. It's hard to see at this stage. And so what Bill was explaining at the beginning is that the elevation of the site adjacent to the bulkhead, so on the water side, is going to be around elevation +9. The building itself, in order to meet flood elevation, the finished floor elevation we're looking at right now is about elevation 13. To maintain accessibility of the site, to be able to have an accessible route from the village of Woods Hole along Luscombe Ave onto the site, the max elevation we can get the plaza surrounding the building is about elevation 10.5. So around the building, we're going to be at elevation 10.5. At the tie-in to Luscombe and Railroad, the existing elevation is about 5.6. We're looking, so we have to tie in at that location. We also have to tie in at beneath the underpass, or beneath the overpass for Crane Street. That elevation existing is around 5.5. So the site is coming up slightly from the bulkhead to the plaza, and then we'll actually diving down or sloping down from the plaza to Crane Street to the underpass or overpass. We're sloping down to the Railroad Street and Luscombe Ave and Railroad Avenue intersection. We are also tying into Crane Street. We're going to be just modifying the grades slightly through there to make them more even.
And that's already the area that's very low to the water, so that's not an area that you could have any of that's why you didn't choose that area for any of your,
Infiltration.
yeah,
You're speaking around.
where the parking area is now. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
very
That
low.
area there, the current elevation is ranges between about 5.5 to 6, and so we looked at potentially bringing water from the front of the site all the way to the back to infiltrate in this area. The Massachusetts stormwater regs require a minimum of 2 feet separation between the bottom of the infiltration system and mean annual high water. The town of Falmouth regs actually reference a Rhode Island standard which requires 3 feet. So our baseline is 3 feet of separation between the bottom of any infiltration system and mean annual high water. The mean annual high water elevation is estimated to be about elevation 3 for the site. So if we were to build an infiltration system on the back here, the cross section of that is likely going to be with pavement at least 4 feet. So if we're starting at elevation 5.5, going down 4 to 4.5 feet or more, depending on the size of the system, we're at elevation 1, which is 2 feet below mean annual high water. So we actually can't design a system that complies with the regs, with the state or the town regs. We would also be in a situation where most of the time groundwater is with a stabilized groundwater elevation. Right now in the fall, when we dug our test pits, it's about elevation 1. So we'd be trying to infiltrate water at the groundwater elevation. So on the surface, we result in mounding, basically a system that would not function as intended. And so that's what led us away from this area. The front of the site, Bill and Dave were explaining, there's a lot of site infrastructure there. The supporting system for the bulkhead, these types of systems are not usually designed to be self-supporting. The sheet pile, even though it looks very strong, if you put enough weight on, enough force on it, you deflect it outwards, away from the fill towards the water. If you deflect it too much, there's only a certain amount of deflection we can handle. To resist that, you either have to go to a prohibitively large cross-section, you got a stiffer sheet pile, or you design a tie-back system to retain it in place as you fill. And so this,
Well, I guess that brings me to the question. So the stormwater is going to be at the front, by the ocean, the drains and the valves that you were talking about.
correct.
So what happens if you have a spill, and what do you do then? I mean, that's just my question about, it's so close to the ocean at that point.
So if we have a spill,
You had some valve that
We
would
close
take
the
care of
valves.
it.
so we
But then
close
what
the
do you-
valves, so essentially what you would have to do is go in with a vacuum truck, pump out the system, clean it. You can use jet trucks, rot out the system, you can steam clean. There's various methodologies out there. It depends on the type of spill, how big a spill, what we would do in that event. It would be coordinated with the local authorities,
So you
DEP.
kind of have a plan for
We
that?
have, right now.
Microphone, Bill,
excuse
please,
me.
thanks.
Right now, we have a spill prevention plan in place for the site as it is. As we develop this new terminal, that plan will have to be changed to reflect the new design. But we have an active spill prevention plan that is, we train for, and, you know, all our crew knows how to use. And so we would have the same situation for the new design at the point where it's completed.
Thank you. I have other questions, but I'll move on.
Okay, Maureen.
I'm going to follow up on the spill thing. Do you have, obviously, you have something in place now, so if it does discharge into the water, you have, you know,
Right.
absorbent
We have-
pillows and
we have-
booms and all that?
Right.
Okay. Only because if it's raining and there's a spill, it's kind of hard to stop those systems from, you know, to block them off.
Right,
'cause
well,
then
what
you
we
have to
actually
swim
use
back up.
now is, they have these magnetic things that you can.
Go
put
right over
on
the
it.
basin.
We have some that stick, we have different kinds, we use these,
Right.
we have spill prevention plans for our terminals, and not only for our terminals, but for our parking lots. So we're very familiar with what needs to be, we have materials on site, to boom material, to absorbents and boom material to prevent it from getting into the water, or spreading.
And
in
trained
the water.
personnel and all that, I'm sure,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Thank you.
We train every year. We have, what do you call, I think of his name, an Osro, you know, that can support us on call, that's for a vessel spill or anything. So it's an on-site,
There's great potential there
Yeah.
with all the truck and traffic.
so we would be, we're trained for, as being first responders, and, you know, if it were a large enough spill, we have an outside contractor that is on call to support us.
And how fast could it be expedited?
I think we're talking within, we meet the regulations, but it's hours, an hour or so, 2 hours.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that a little bit more, because that's,
I don't know the exact time, but I know we meet the regulations. There is a time limit on
Yeah.
when you can get, when it could, Oslo has to be there, and I'm sure we meet that.
well, I'm sure on a Sunday in Woods Hole on road race or 4th of July, I bet you that 1 hour window could be very compromised, so I just worry about, that's one of the big issues with that being so close.
I mean,
Anyway.
we have that now, and this new design would be an improvement.
Improvement.
because we'd be able to contain it, the catch basin system.
Okay. The next question I had, I'm very pleased to see the solar panels, but I'm also concerned about the solar panels in a hurricane area. Are they hurricane-proof?
Yes,
Okay.
they would be designed, the structures would be designed to handle a hurricane. They'd have to, I mean, you'd have to get a building permit.
Right. I just, you know, being that's such an open area, and, you know, I'm sure it'll be trial and error. 'cause
Actually,
they're-
it's probably not as open as the ones at the ice arena, because it's down low. You know, it's protected by Crane Street and on that side of the thing. But
Whatever.
whatever, they wouldn't
There's
be
not much
designed for
protection from a
hurricane.
hurricane down there. You were there. The next thing is, all right, waste oil, we did that. On the landscape plan, not that there's a long way from there, I mean, you have 6 years, but with the landscape plan, it would be nice to say what species of trees and how you're gonna maintain them, and I think you should just add that in when you get to that point.
Yeah, I mean,
Your green little circles don't tell us much, so,
yeah, we have, we do have a landscape architect
Yeah.
on
I
the
saw
team,
that in the, yeah.
But, you know, we haven't gotten.
Gotten that far yet. Okay, I'm sure Jen will take care of that. On the eelgrass, I know you said that a lot of that area, I think it's on WH2.3, that page, and it shows where the eelgrass survey extent is, and where there was a lot of, you thought it was from the catch basins, or the discharge from the outfall pipe that has caused all this shoaling
Yeah.
that's gonna be dredged. And I'm looking at the configuration of the new slips, and, you know, how close they are to the eelgrass. How about prop wash from the ferry boats? It is, it's WH 2.3.
Need to point to the,
I think I can be of some help, and I'll leave the mic for a second.
Let's see.
With my finger, I just traced the
New slip.
layout of the existing dolphin. This little gray thing, this little gray thing, this little gray thing, that's the existing.
Again with the mic, please.
Sorry, that's the existing dolphin setup. The new dolphins are in essence going to be in the exact same line. So what we're talking about, the reason Bill keeps saying it's going to be a small amount, if any, dredging, is that
right.
we currently don't have a significant conflict there with the existing vessels. So we're hoping that potentially after the construction is finished, we may still not have any significant conflict.
There won't, okay. You know, we'll put surveys in that are gonna be required over time. I was just curious about the prop wash.
Well,
I
Maureen,
I guess what,
the boats are about what, Bill? I'm sorry to interrupt, but the boats are what, around 230? Between 230 and 240, give or
Yeah.
take?
Feet long,
in that
yeah.
order.
Yeah.
And
So if you measure that out,
This is pretty wide here. And it's 60 feet, roughly 60, at most 60 feet wide.
So we're good, Jen?
I mean, they're close, but they're close now, so, but I think that's what any sort of monitoring program will.
Right, will be in place. And I think,
I would have liked to see a little bit more separation from the eelgrass bed, but,
That-
yeah, because I mean, 240 comes out to right about, well, I'm on the wrong plan, but, yeah, I don't know.
We're planning.
Well, no, I'm on 2.3.
yeah,
I'm
You're-
on the
you're on
color
a different
plan
plan.
with the eelgrass and the dredging
The
and everything
dredging,
overlaid
yeah.
on the aerial.
Right.
2.3, the one I,
This one?
Yep, so the red line, I can't see it on there, Bill, I'm.
The red line is
No, the one seaward of that.
this red line?
Yeah, that's
that's
about,
the meso.
so go up, that's about 240 right there. All right, more,
Yep,
so just to give you
Okay.
kind of a visual.
So
okay.
that- So
Yeah.
roughly, yeah, so the boat would be roughly in this
Yeah.
area.
Okay, thank you. And that could be the slip that you use for the disabled vessels, which wouldn't have as much work. or
Yeah, it's probably gonna be mostly for the freight boats.
The freight boats.
Yeah.
Oh, I
They're
know, one other
small.
question. The oil storage in the shed, what is that for?
It's waste oil storage.
Yeah.
There's no fuel
Yeah,
storage.
Yeah, it's when
just
you,
waste.
when you're changing the oil in the engines and that sort of thing?
Right.
How
yeah.
often does that get, it's very close to, again, you know, it's in a floodplain, and where does it
I
go?
understand, that's why we're moving to, that's why we're using double wall portable tanks.
Okay,
So if we're in
Gotcha.
hurricanes, we don't need a building, I've been through this at
Okay.
other terminals. We don't need a building permit, but because.
Well, the
we have
fire
other terminals
department
that
would
are
require
hurricanes,
something.
We would move them up, you know,
Right.
they're portable.
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Thank you very much for your answers. And I also would like to thank the staff at the engineering department, because the memo that they gave us was very thorough, and I'm glad you're going to have time to address all their questions.
Mary?
I guess the main question or point I have for the moment also has to do with hurricane concerns, and you described in very general terms in the narrative about the buildings, the terminal, all the buildings, and features such as breakaway and flow-through features. And I assume there's no detail of that kind at the moment, but
The plan, right now, we're struggling with that. The temporary terminal, we can't do much with as far as hurricanes and flood plains because it's at elevation 5 and we're trying to get it to elevation 6,
Right.
10 and a half to be able to do anything with for hurricanes. So we're working with the Department of Public Safety because we're a state agency on this. And so we believe we can get an exemption for the temporary terminal for 5 years. On the
that's exactly hard.
permanent, on the permanent terminal, the current code requirement is to be at base, to have the floor at base floor elevation. The code that's going, the new edition that's going to come out probably in January sometime is going to require a 2-foot freeboard in addition to above and beyond the base flood elevation.
Right,
That is creating a lot of problems for us.
right.
And so we've been working with the access board, handicap access board, mass access board, and the building code people. And we will probably try to get an exemption for the freeboard, because the problems we're having is the access routes, we can't get exempt. That would put us up at almost elevation 16.
Can't they put a ramp in?
Because the new code, the freeboard goes to the bottom of the lowest horizontal member.
We know.
And that would, so you have 12 feet. To get top of floor, you would have, your string is at 12 inches at least. So we're at base floor elevation now is at 17.
Right.
And we're just getting out of sight for accessibility routes.
Millimeter.
Yeah. The point I was going to make was more about the kinds of features that you incorporate. We generally are nervous about breakaway kinds of features and flow-through features.
We're not, okay, so in addition, above and beyond the flood elevations,
Yeah,
coastal zone management in our ENF has asked us to address sea level rise. Okay, so we met with them, and they consider a 50-year building would require about a 2-foot
Increase.
elevation above and beyond the flood elevation.
right.
What we're considering is dry proofing, dry flood proofing. So we would put barriers in the doors and stuff like that, and we would harden the building so that it could take water, the force of the water in that area. In fact, we're probably proposing to go to elevation 17 with a dry flood proofing scheme. But we got a lot of conflicting variables. We got people that want us to go up here, and we got ADA that wants us to be down here. We got to get. And so it's going to be a compromise.
Okay, I guess I'd just leave it for now at, however that gets worked out. we are going to be interested in those features. And,
What the design features for the
Yes.
floodproofing?
yeah. And either, you know, conditioning something or having plans submitted that we can approve. That's all for now, thanks.
Jamie?
We go back to stormwater control for a second. The, you said the town, the Luscombe Road and Railroad Ave drain into that, your system presently, and that's gonna remain? That'll
Correct.
continue, so that'll be into your, new filtration system?
Correct. The catch basins on Railroad and Luscombe Ave, adjacent to the site, will be replaced with new deep sump catch basins offline and will be tied into the new system. So they'll be routed through the hydrodynamic separator. So they'll get both the pre-treatment and the enhanced treatment.
And you said the finished elevation at the building is gonna be around 10.5, I think you said?
The ground surface elevation.
Grounds, yeah.
Yep.
And the Railroad Ave is around 6?
Yeah, so we'll be coming down from the plaza at about 5% slope in the driveways to meet the intersection.
And the catch basins will be designed for that purpose?
Yeah, right now we're looking at different methodologies to intercept the water. So I can sort of, currently as it is, the low point is actually on the property. So water flowing from Luscombe and Railroad Ave ponds on the SSA site actually floods it, even though
Right.
there'll be small storms. So the intent is to enhance the capture to the point where we won't have that issue with the smaller storms, smaller return period storms. And we are definitely cognizant of the potential for forcing flooding upstream.
All right.
And we're gonna do everything we can to prevent that.
Thank you. Unrelated but curious, how deep did you say the pilings are going?
100 feet?
Elevation?
Well, right now, we're proposing about minus 100, so they're going about 100. And I believe that we can improve on that, but, and in minus 80, so a small, but I think we can improve on that. We still haven't done all the homework we need to do on it.
Thank you.
Anything else from the steamship? You guys got your presentation?
We're done. I'm just addressing
Okay.
any questions.
Okay, so before I open this up to the public, I just want to discuss the consultant fee option. And how do you guys feel about imposing that at this point? Because it's a lot of stuff.
Personally, I had recommended it. I think it's prudent. It's a lot of this, I mean, to digest all of this, especially the stormwater regulations, and I would invoke it. I think it would be helpful to both sides to be able to deal with this big project. But that's just my vote.
Any other comments?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think, I mean, this obviously is a complex project.
I mean, it's a lot of things that are done individually. I don't believe it's that complex, you know, it's a building
Well, it's
operation.
complex because
I mean,
you've got to balance off, you're balancing off so many realities down there. And that makes it complex. And so, you know, I agree with Maury's comment that, you know, it might serve everyone's interest to have this and make sure that a lot of the ducks that aren't quite in line yet get in line. I didn't get a chance to weigh in some comments and you know, this is, there's a lot of things that are going on there, and one of them, of course, is that you're increasing, you're raising the grade roughly 5 feet, and then you're tapering it back and you're transitioning. You're going to have a new terminal. There's a description of it. Do you have architectural elevations at this point as to what this thing is going to look like? One of our requirements is that we ask for that in cases where it seems appropriate, and I think it does seem appropriate here.
Definitely.
The other thing I think, looking at this, and certainly if you really wanted to go way out, you know, sea level rises, they're talking about 4 feet by the end of the century. So maybe, you know, I'm sure there are people who would love to see all of Woods Hole raised 10 feet so that it doesn't flood 50 years, 75 or 100 years down the road. But that's not going to happen. But what you're proposing to do is raise the grade around 5 feet or so. You're going to, and I think it's important for us to be able to visualize what this is all going to look like when it's all done. And, you know, I don't know whether you can generate a computer model or whatever that shows all of this in vivid detail. So you can visualize, you know, how does the terminal relate to its surroundings? How does that transition work between the parking lot and Railroad and Luscombe Avenue, for example? Are people going to be able to walk from the Steamship Authority straight ahead, not down or up, and go right into the, whatever the bar is across the street?
The whole design is predicated on having accessible routes.
Well, yeah, and that's fine,
like a
but
5% grade.
you know, we're here considering this, and I think it's valid for us to be able to envision what the end product is going to be. When we have notices of intent filed in front of us, you know, we can get a sense of what the end product is, and if we're not sure, we ask the architects, the engineers, and so forth, to provide us with elevations and that kind of thing. So we know when the fat lady stops singing and they go in for signing off the thing, then we know when we permit it, or we hope we know, what the end product is going to look like. And I get it. I study, you've given us great detail. And, you know, I've been in the construction business for 30 years, so I have a grasp of what this is. But I think it would be important for all of us to be able to visualize what is the end product going to look like. That's not going to change whether it's a valid project or not, but I think it's important for us to, as we deliberate about this, to see.
Trying to get at, what are you asking for, a model?
Yeah,
Or
not a
more
physical
section?
model, but
Conceptual
a vision,
plan.
a conceptual graphic that shows how this finished product is going to relate to its surroundings.
Mr. Chairman, before you go on,
Do you understand? Because I don't know.
You're an architect.
I
Hang on a second,
Mr.
yeah.
Burgess, and I can explain it.
Hang on, one person at a time, please. Go ahead, Jen.
Can I just go over some few things before you continue with your discussion? The one you had before Courtney's conceptual plan. Bill, just to kind of go over what I would like to see addressed for the board, regardless of what they vote right now, is to have Nate address all of the stormwater comments made by the town, to just give me a little bit more detailed eelgrass protection and monitoring plan, a dewatering plan, a little bit more detail on your construction methodology. I think that's what I was looking for in there. And basically Courtney's conceptual plan, he just wants a picture of what it's going to look like when it's done. That's all. What the building's going to look like, as opposed to like backdropped on the village.
This could be a computer graphic. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be an
Okay.
architectural, it's just kind of like a little rendering of what the whole site's going to look like, which I think you might actually have in here, right?
I know I've seen cross sections.
Yeah.
Not have to, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, who would require it at this stage of the
So
game.
I'm just going to let Chris, I want to discuss the
kind of
concept a little bit, and we certainly can address it.
maybe they did something where they.
So I'm Chris Ivers, and the project has lots of parts to it that we're working on. I'm working on the administrative office, the temporary terminal. The marine side of this, we've been very involved with working out how this thing works from an accessibility standpoint. We have plans. I can tell you that it's a two-story building, and we could show you a massing model as part of this submission. We have a fairly long design process to go through with the building, so whatever we show you right now is pre-schematic design or early schematic design. If that's sufficient, but it's not the, you know, the end product, as you were saying, you know, what's it going to look like when it's all done. This is a lengthy process of design that we have to go through, and this permitting process is an initial step in it. And so I think what we want to hear is just what would satisfy you that we could produce that would help you in your understanding of the project.
Clearly, I understand that this thing, a lot of this is a work in progress. But I think in the broad sweeping terms, you can generate a graphic that
Oh, yeah. I'm not objecting to anything. I just want to know what you're looking for, so we can.
I think he's looking for a concept.
I'd like to see an elevation of the building, but also an elevation of the whole site as
Right.
developed and how it fits into its immediate,
Right.
as it's plopped down into Woods Hole.
We do have a 3D model of the whole area, so we can actually show you what that looks like from.
There you go.
Good, perfect.
I just had one
Mark?
last question.
And that's all with the understanding that this is subject to evolution.
Actually, I have more of a comment, I think, than a question. I did peruse through all this information, and one of the things that I did find, when we get a normal notice of intent, this is way above the scope of what we usually see. We see some things almost this big once in a while. The detail of is the devil's in the details, and I think that's what Mary was trying to say, and everybody else is trying to say, that, you've got a good idea going here, but the whole methodology, well, we'll put dewatering. Well, we usually ask for details. How big an area? Is it a fracking machine? Where's a fracking machine going to be placed on the property? When it rains, and it's, we have an episodic event of, 3 days of 4.5, 7 inches of rain. How are you going to contain, once this is a raw excavated site? This is the details that we like. I mean, there's a lot here, but there's a lot missing, and that's why it's difficult. I mean, I personally think this was more of a presentation of where you would like us to have you head than for us to make a vote on this as a, close a hearing and take it under advisement. I mean, I feel like we're a long way away from that, from what I have in front of me. I mean, there's a lot of detail on stormwater management, but there's a lot more to this project than just that. So that's why I guess maybe I'm a little confused that I know this was probably going to get continued, but I feel like there's so much missing that we would require of even a house being constructed in this town. We have more requirements and details and, restrictions and plantings and mitigation, and I just don't see it here. So that's how I feel. I feel it's just not complete for what we would expect to protect the resources here.
Kristen, do you have something else?
Yeah, I did. But I'm not sure if he's, one thing, I think that this new whole design will be a benefit, because it'll be better than what we have in some ways. In other ways, I'm concerned. You're adding a new boat, that's more service, that's more environmental damage.
We're not, we're not adding another boat.
Yeah, you said there was going to be another boat.
We're making
They're
the
moving
third
one.
slip operational.
Just-
We have 3 slips now.
They're just
We're
tightening
making
them up.
it,
Right.
we're compressing them and making them all operational. That's got nothing to do with the boats.
Okay.
We still have the same number of boats, same number of trips as currently have today.
I guess I had misunderstood that. So what I am concerned about is it seems like there's this building which is going to be much higher, and the whole thing is moving out into the ocean further. And
We're moving out into the ocean approximately 70 feet.
which is comparative, you said, to the other sites, but this area is not comparative to the other sites in that it doesn't have open ocean. You're running into a ledge, you're running into, you know, other areas as you move out. So as you move.
Ledge? So,
The ledge that is across, directly across from the,
we're
steam
well
ship.
out of the, in fact, we have it on one of the drawings here. So this is the federal channel in Great Harbor.
right.
So we're well out of that.
Well, what my point is that when you move out into that open ocean area, it's not as open as on the vineyard. So you're bringing a boat out, it's a lot of turbulence as you turn it around. It's, you know, so you're moving that out into a channel that's not open ocean, like what you're comparing it to the vineyard sites, but it's
I'm
not
not comparing it to the vineyard sites.
No, I'm not trying to
not
argue
comparing
with
it
you
at all to the
about that.
vineyard
I'm just
sites.
saying that you were saying
What we
that-
are doing, I think, is a navigation improvement for the harbor in general, because we're moving south, and the boats for Hui and the Noshan Trust will have better access, and the Eel Pond will have better access than they currently have, because we're not nearly as close to those areas. The boats that, when they back out, all the boats, including Hui's boats, you know, back out and turn in the federal channel, and then move out. I don't understand, in fact, the captains limited us to 70 feet. We were proposing 100 at first, and it was their suggestion that we stay out of the tide range, the ebb tide, but because of the currents in there. But they felt confident, and what we're doing is, if you notice the slips, these are going to be the principal slips, one and two, and the south side of both slips are, you know, slanted more, and that was the captain's suggestion, so that they can come in, because the prevailing winds are southwest, they can come in and not get as much windage and come into the slips. We've done a lot of homework on trying to make this as navigable as possible for the captains, and believe me, they're our biggest critics when it comes to designing, because they have to use these every day.
Okay, so, there's a couple other things. You're tying into the septic in the town, and that's,
We're currently tied into the septic in the town,
okay.
and they're not happy with the way it's currently
Okay.
going,
All
and
right.
we're going to try to improve that.
I guess the overall picture that I'm seeing is that it's going to be a much bigger impact on the environment than what you have now. It probably will be a lot better because of all the work that everybody else is
What
doing.
kind of impacts? We're not impacting any environmental...
Can I finish?
I don't understand.
So my concern is that because it appears to be a larger impact on the environment, despite the fact that you have these really good stormwater considerations and things like that, I'm wondering how that's going to affect the overall, and as Courtney was saying, how is it going to look when it's finished? What is going to happen when it's finished? You know, it's a little tiny road that comes down into this town, and it's a lot of people coming back and forth, and that's a high impact on the environment.
So that's got nothing to do with, that's not changing with this design.
All right, well, I'm going to move this along here. So the consultant's fee, we were talking about that, okay? Is everybody on board with that? I'm going to take a vote on that we imposed it. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, so the consultant's fee, Jen.
Mr. Chairman,
Maureen did.
Courtney.
Courtney? Sorry about that. Susan?
Yeah, no problem. I would agree with Maury. I think we do, consistent with what we require of other projects. And obviously, you're going to continue this and come back and fill in some of the blanks. And one of the blanks, again, is some of the details, is particularly how the dewatering is gonna take place, how you're gonna contain stuff. Because that's the stuff that, the nuts and bolts, that we try not to let slip through the cracks when we issue an order of conditions.
That's a fair question, and I told him, we're gonna have to do that for our next permit, for the water quality permit, so it's.
So we need it for us to issue a notice,
Yeah.
I mean, order of conditions. So, there are a lot, I can't possibly, we've identified some of the areas that need clarification. Now, my request is much more broad and aesthetic in nature than the nitty-gritty, but I agree the nitty-gritty stuff has gotta be, the blanks have gotta be filled in. That's only fair to you, it's only fair to the town, it's only fair to, it's only consistent with our regulations.
All right, so we know we're gonna end up continuing this. So Jen, do you have a date? We're putting a list together here of what you need. The dewatering plan, the construction methodology, the bulkhead, and the whole.
Address the stormwater,
Yep.
just a little bit more on the eelgrass. What are you looking for a date, Bill? That being said, you know that a consultant's review might not take place within 2 weeks, but
So,
do our best. But if you want to get us that information by the 9th,
so would we not be able to continue until this consultant's review is complete?
correct. If the board votes the consultant fee, what they did, they want a consultant to review this, yes.
So how long, I guess it's, then
That
it's
is
really
gonna
up to
take,
you.
yeah, that's gonna take some time. The exact, coming up against the holidays is
Yeah.
not a good
Oh, I
time.
know.
A lot of no meetings.
I mean, to be safe, I'm looking at after the first of the year. That's to be on the safe side. And I don't even know if that can happen. Well, it's gonna definitely, because we couldn't even, something, yeah, after the first of the year. January 6th, and then if you submit your construction methodology and that stuff to us, we don't necessarily have to have a hearing between then and this January 6th. We could
that's
just
what,
provide that information to the consultant.
That's what Steve was just suggesting. We'll provide you the information
Yep, provide us.
so that you can get it to the consultant.
Yes, so
Perfect.
the construction, the things that I asked for, the construction methodology, the stormwater, which I don't think is gonna be that much, just a few clarifications from Scott's memo. Dewatering plan, which is part of your construction methodology, and then we could forward that to the consultant. So I'm looking at January 6th at the earliest right now.
Let's shoot for that.
Okay?
All right, so can I get a motion on that?
I make a motion to, invoke, on.
Continue?
Continue until January 6th.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the commission? Questions? Okay. Anyone from the public would like to comment? Ms. Bumpus?
For the couple of you that don't know me, I'm Catherine Bumpus. I'm co-president of the Woods Hole Community Association. Steve Junker, who's the other co-president, is here with me tonight. We have a little advantage in this in that we've been looking at this for a couple of years, and so I've heard this plan a number of times. I have a letter for all of you. It's a little bit long, but since you're not closing tonight, I'll leave it with you and not go through every item. It echoes much of what you've said. I've read a number of your orders of conditions, so I'm familiar with what you tend to expect. In general, we have some concerns of the overall scope of the project. do have concerns about that added boat. Ms. Alexander, on page 2, it does say about adding the new vessel, which is where you got that from. At no point in the notice is the significant change to the elevation of the site really addressed, and what that might do to the stormwater flowage on the site and on the adjoining properties, where if there's an overtopping event, what would happen, because that has happened in the past. And when you're adding all that bulk to the front of the property, what's going to happen with everything else? There are also, we're concerned about the fact that there's no specific construction methodology. This sounds familiar. For dewatering, handling, storage, or dewatering of dredged spoils, affixing the turbidity curtain. One of the things that they have said time and again is that they have to have 2 operational slips. You will see that in the plan on pages 4 and 3. They show the turbidity curtain spread out in an active slip. That's just not going to work, because either the ferry's going to eat up that turbidity curtain, or the turbidity curtain's not going to be there. So there are really some specifics that need to be hashed out, and I pointed them out. It's 4 pages of comments. I would hope that you would be willing to share this with your consultant who's reviewing this. They're very specific on the notice and the stormwater, but there's no reason for us to go through it all tonight, unless you would like me to.
We're gonna have another hearing, so,
Give us a
Do you
chance
get
to
that?
read a very long agenda.
on the construction methodology and what Ms. Bumper said, we'll get you.
Copies?
Do you have a copy of this?
I have one right here for them,
Okay, we'll give you one,
and we can,
so that everybody's on the same page.
And then I also have a copy of a letter that APCC submitted on the ENF review that was done, that is a more general letter, and I think that it might help inform your discussion. It is not specific to your review, but if you'd be willing to read it, I think it would help the whole conversation.
do you happen to have any more copies of what you gave us?
I can get
Jen
you how
has a
many
copy.
you need. We can make the copy at the office, Mary.
We'll be putting one in the file, so.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Steve has an additional one, but, and I'm happy to email you.
Yeah,
more copies.
Catherine, if you could just email it to me, then I can forward them. Thank you very much. Here you go, Mary. So you can put yours in the file. I'll
Yes.
take this one, and this one I will give to
Yeah, I mean, I
the
don't
steamship.
need it instantly. Okay, and then here's something else that's also coming.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I've got file copies saved here.
Any other comments or questions
Bill, you
from the
might
public?
want this one too.
Ma'am?
There.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Trimman. I live across the street from the steamship authority. One of my concerns is that they're going to be putting 100-foot deep pilings, and there are a lot of old houses right around there. How will that affect them? Another concern is with the mounding of the ground. What's going to happen to the town when we have lots of rain? Will it run off into the town? Here's concern. Another question is what is the elevation of the plate?
Hang on a second, ma'am, you gotta go through the chair. What was the question again?
What's the elevation of employee parking lot? 'Cause
If you could take the, just use the mic, please.
All right, apologize, specific numbers I don't recall right now, but
It's around elevation 14.
14?
yeah, most things we go to
That's good.
survey.
I'll save it in there.
So,
I don't see it.
I think we're at elevation 14. Sloping up.
So right now,
Superimposed over there.
Actually, right now,
They have it at elevation 20.
17, slopes up to 17.
17 up to 20.
20.
So the employee
existing.
parking lot, right there, is at 17 feet. It doesn't block anyone's view. when a person drives into Woods Hole, what they see is Woods Hole. But with this current plan, they want to have 10 foot of ground. They need it to be 18 feet to start the first floor. They're so far talking about 2 floors and a pitched roof. When you drive into Woods Hole, what you would see is their building. I don't think that's what Woods Hole
I
wants.
understand that that's a concern, but that's really kind of out of our purview. You know what I
But just
mean?
keep it in mind.
We're getting some conceptual drawings for you, but.
Over on the employee parking lot, where it's already at 17 feet. And they could actually, people can park under it and get their tickets and then leave. It doesn't have to be dense in. Oh, that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Anybody else? Sir?
My name is David Tully. We are I have the property directly to the south, abutting what would now be Slip 1. My mom is the property owner, Ellen Tully. And I just, when you're doing additional information, if you could provide more detail on how the grading might impact the stormwater at our border. Just because that is, I think it's going from being below grade, or at least upgrade, to being slightly higher. A detail on that would be nice. And any, there's our beach down there. We're interested in any studies, and I haven't had a chance to look through the submissions in great detail, so if it's in there, point me to it. What potential impact the removal of the pier will have in terms of changing currents, the boats. Obviously, we've had discussion of the churn of the propeller wash and that impact. So any more information that can be presented about that is something we're very interested in. I heard one comment that the boats were moving out only 70 feet. My reading of the plan is closer to 100, 90 to 100. So if there can be clarification on that.
I believe you addressed that already.
Yeah. The landside portion.
Yeah.
Is moving out 70 feet. The boats, the transfer bridges, let's see here, right from
50 to 70.
No, transfer bridges are going from 30 to 50.
Sorry, thank you.
So you get an additional 20 feet. So the boats will be approximately 100 feet further out.
Okay, yeah, that was, I think that comment was in context of the propeller wash, and it will be 100 feet further out. How about that changes, I have no idea, but that was just a clarification. So any additional information about that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. Jen, anything else from you?
No.
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote to continue it till January 6th. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right. We'll get back to the regular agenda.
Thank you. I can't believe they thought they were going to.
Anyone need 2 minutes?
I could use it, yeah.
All right,
It's like holding me.
all right.
Because it's getting continued.
We're adjourned for 2 minutes.
When it gets continued, then they won't get up.